Recording in progress.
Good morning. It is now 10 a.m. Councilmember Rao, it is my understanding that you will be presiding this morning.
Yes, that is correct. Good
Okay.
morning. Good morning. Welcome to our fiscal year 22 department budget hearings. I want to officially call the meeting to order. City Clerk Adams, can you call the roll?
Yes. Mayor William Bill Edwards, as well as Mayor Pro Tem Helen Willis, have family engagements and will not be present today. The Honorable Catherine F. Rao, District 1.
Present.
The Honorable Carmelita Gums, District 2.
Present.
The Honorable Naima Gilliard, District 4. The Honorable Corey A. Reeves, District 5.
Presently present.
The Honorable Councilmember Khalid, and I believe some are coming in to the meeting now.
I'm present.
Thank you. The Honorable Mark Baker.
Present.
And the Honorable Naima Gilliard, I believe you are present. Well, Madam Councilmember, we do have a quorum.
Thank you. If you would, let's get started with our proposed budget overview summary and go into followed by Destination South Fulton.
Yes, the presentation, I will introduce the city manager, Tammy Sadler-Jones, to introduce the staff that will be making the presentation today.
Thank you, Mr. Adams. Good morning, council members. Good morning, staff. We are prepared to provide you with the fiscal year 22 proposed budget for the following departments: Destination South Fulton, Fire and Rescue, Municipal Court, Human Resources and Risk Management, Community Development, Code Enforcement, and Information Technology. Ms. Rachel Bembry, our interim finance director, will give you a overview of our proposed budget. Mr. Don Toms, the assistant city manager, will go over our capital improvement projects, and then we will begin with our departments, and we will begin with Christopher Pike, our economic development director. I wanted to just let the council know again that I sent out information to each of you on Friday. It is my transmittal letter that lays out to you a proposed balanced budget in the amount of 91.5 million for the fiscal year 2022. I laid out some initiatives that we are proposing in this proposed budget. Also, you have the budget calendar for the remainder of this budget preparation process. So we look forward to talking to you about the information in the budget. The staff, I want to thank them for their diligence and assistance in helping us to present to you a balanced budget for the proposed fiscal year 2022 fiscal year. And I'll turn it over to Rachel Bembry at this time. Thank you so much.
All right. Good morning, Mayor and Council. I will begin by giving you a summary of our general fund revenues, touching on significant fluctuations from the prior year, fiscal year 21 budget, as well as actuals. I do want to begin by letting you know we took a very conservative approach in examining our revenues and anticipated activity for the next fiscal year 22. So we'll begin with the first category, property taxes. This is based on the recommended 12.899 millage rate at a 98% collection rate. You will see this includes real property taxes as covered by that millage rate, as well as some other property taxes, including real estate transfer taxes and real estate intangible taxes as well. So that overall category is looking at about a 12% increase. The next category, motor vehicles, you'll see a bit of a significant increase here, 127%. This is in light of the actual year-to-date amounts that we've received in fiscal year 21 and only represents a 9% increase over the actual amounts received to date. The next two lines, your franchise fees and your local options sales tax. We're budgeting for an increase in these categories as well. Due to fiscal year 21 actuals pacing ahead of budgeted levels, as well as anticipated growth that we expect to see with the city of South Fulton in those sales tax and franchise fees. Moving on, we will look at business and occupation tax here. We are obviously budgeting for growth in business licenses, occupational taxes with FIB coming on board. And we are examining those numbers and sharpening those estimates as we go. Other taxes, you'll see a significant increase here as well. That's primarily attributable to alcohol beverage excise taxes. And again, that's a situation where already our fiscal year 21 actual amounts are outpacing our budget, and we anticipate growth in that area as well. Conversely, in the intergovernmental agreement revenue line item, you'll see a significant decrease there of 83%. This is attributable to the FIB intergovernmental agreement, where that revenue is no longer at this time anticipated to be received from FIB. And again, that's our conservative approach. We have removed that line here from our revenue projections. Fees for services. This category is budgeted with an increase, and this category includes a couple of different areas, including fees for services like providing police reports, as well as fire plan fees and recreation program fees. It also includes traffic camera revenue, which we are accounting 151% increase over the fiscal year 20 budget, but it's worth noting that it's a slight decrease from what we've actually received in fiscal year 21, because again, we anticipate and expect that slowly that revenue will decrease over time. I should have noted in the recreation program fees, we are including that programming is going to return to some level, and the departments will further address, their programming. Fines and forfeitures. This looks like a significant increase, but in reality, it's only about 18%, $3,000 from what our fiscal year 21 year-to-date amounts are showing, and that's just because things are getting, back on schedule with court scheduling. Your other revenue, the decrease you see here is attributable to the CARES money that was received in fiscal year 21 of approximately $4 million. So that's really more of a nominal difference in reality. And then the final item I wanted to have here is the budgeted use of reserves. This category shows how the one-time expenses of capital projects are being funded by reserves and not operating revenues or recurring revenues. Overall, our revenue totals are increasing by about 197%, but when you take out those one-time fundings like your capital funding and the CARES revenue that was received in fiscal year 21, and you look more at the operating level totals, your increase over your fiscal year 21 budget is about 16% and 19% over the actual amounts received year to date. So now that we've kind of gotten through the revenue summary, we'll briefly review the expenditure summary because the departments will be covering, their expenditures shortly. So if we'll flip, perfect, to the next slide. The expenditure slide here shows you the first, I believe, half of your departmental expenditures. And worth noting on this page, as you do see a decrease in your city clerk area just because of one-time professional service expenditures from fiscal year 21 being removed from the next year's budget. You'll see a significant increase in risk management. This was intentional to bring the general liability and property insurance expenditures into the risk management department. So you'll see an opposite adjustment in general services as well as in the other departments for that piece. And then also on this page, we see some growth in police and fire as anticipated as the city expands. Next slide, please. On this slide, just not much worth noting. Public Works and Parks and Rec and Cultural Affairs, as expected, has a little bit of increase due to increased activity as we get back to some sort of normal. And then on further down in the line, worth noting, you'll see a decrease in the planned contingency as well as a slight increase in the amount set aside for blighted properties. And then also a significant increase in your capital investment there. So you'll note also a few new categories, and this is designed to help us better identify and allocate costs to the specific service levels. So overall, the city has a modest increase of about 21%. But when you take out, again, those one-time capital transfers and all those one-time expenditures, you're looking at an operating increase of only 16%. So again, we've been very thoughtful and conservative in putting together the departmental expenditure budget for you as well. So no, that was quick, but I know they're going to go in depth with you here in a moment. So at this time, I will turn it back over for the department presentations.
Before we go into the presentations, Council Member Khalid had a question.
Okay.
Yes. Thanks so much for clearing up that because it looks like a big jump in the budget, but you're saying that big difference that we're seeing, only about 16% of that is sustainable over time. That's correct.
Correct.
And I noticed, if you could go back to the slide that showed the council budgets, I noticed that there was a decrease in that. Could you tell me what that decrease reflects?
Let's see. Most likely fluctuations in estimates of your insurance and benefits. Those things fluctuate as our rates change, and so the operating budget is maintaining the same level at $55,000 for each and every district, but the personnel expenditures will fluctuate as insurance and benefit rates come in for the employees allocated there.
And then this is my last question. It's kind of a tough question. My apologies, but we hear every year that the budget that's being proposed is a conservative estimate, and it seems to be the case without fail that every year by the mid-year we were not conservative enough, and we end up having to make further adjustments. So I'm just wondering, how is this year different?
Well, I'm sorry, but I can't necessarily speak to those prior years and the approach that was used there, but I'm just referring to my approach and coming in and just looking at the data. So I examined, the revenue trend from the incorporation, so 2018, 19, 20, and then our 21 actuals, and really focused on that trend data to develop the recommendation and projections for this fiscal year. Because budgets are merely estimates and they are dependent upon whoever is making those estimates, I didn't focus on those prior budgets when I was I reviewed them, but I didn't focus on them as I was preparing my recommendation for these revenue projections. So I can only speak to my presentation here, and I'm sorry I can't provide more information on the past.
No, so it's fine. Is the presumption? This is my final question. Is the presumption in this budget that we will be?
And we can also ask this question for specifically for departments as well that were heavily affected, like Parks and Rec and some of the others. But it is in finance were that they would be able growth at some point. But